If you would like to learn how to photo engrave onto cast acrylic, how to cut it out and then create your very own photo frame for it to sit on and to be displayed on, then I'm going to walk you through the full process today. We're going to go through different types of acrylic. We're going to go through setting it up on the xTool F2. We're going to discuss what methods are important to follow. We're then going to set it up in xTool Studio, go through the full process, and finally we're going to be engraving, we're going to be cutting, and I'm going to be showing you the results at the end. Stay tuned because this video is filled with some great information and I'm going to be sharing it throughout. So let's get straight to it. Let me kick off by explaining that all acrylics were not born equally. So let me tell you, this is all the material testing I have done to get these great settings I'm going to be showing you later, also for the cutting, but there is a specific way of actually getting them to work. So make sure you watch the whole video to find out. However, this is a separate piece of acrylic I had lying around. It's a shiny material that I purchased from AliExpress, and as you can see, it did not go well. This was the same settings as this right here, and it was a disaster. So make sure you get a good acrylic. And what I mean by a good one is you want cast acrylic sheet. These ones are directly from xTool, but you can buy them from AliExpress and Temu and Amazon. Just make sure they're good quality. And what I will say is when you buy an acrylic, it usually comes with this finish on it. This is a protective film. Make sure you peel it off. They are difficult, but once peeled off, you can engrave. But if you try and engrave or cut with that on, it is a fire risk. So let's move on to placement and manually focusing. As I mentioned, I have done some thorough testing on this, and I've managed to get some great results and great settings for you. But the really important part is that you follow the full process of this video because there are some key factors you need to take into consideration. What do we need for today's engraving? Well, we need the cutting plate that comes with the xTool F2. Make sure you find that. This is critical if you are going to be cutting anything. And then we are going to be using our acrylic. This is cast acrylic matte black. I will include the xTool part number details in the description. That's all we need. So what I'm going to be doing, just because I know I'm going to be cutting later on, I'm actually going to place this on the cutting plate from the very beginning, and we need to make sure we're focused. And the way we do that is we will manually do that with this knob on the side. As you can see there, we've got two separated dots. Twist it until they join together, and then we have a manually focused laser head, which is the optimum position for cutting and engraving. Very critical. Here we are on our xTool Studio tab. We are going to be clicking new project in the top right, and it will open up the screen as we're used to. You heard a beep behind me. That means the machine has connected via the Wi-Fi, and these days with xTool Studio, it will automatically generate an image on the screen, which is what we are going to be engraving onto. So the next thing we need to do, well, the first thing we need to do is select a material. So as I said, I'm using an xTool frosted acrylic here, and this is the exact one that aligns with the part number that comes with it. So I'm going to click apply. And what I will say is today's engraving session, on the other videos, I create my own materials, but because this is using a default material from xTool, we're going to be adding our custom material to that actual setting. So we're ready for that. Now that we've got our material selected, we are going to add in our image. But first, I'm going to tell you about how I prepared the image. Because like I said, it's very important that you follow the steps to get the results I got. First thing I recommend doing is always removing the background from a photo if you can. We are using Adobe Express to do this. It is free. You don't need to sign up. I like using it. I think it does a good job. So the way it happens is you click the upload your photo button, find the photo you want, and in reality, it will just take away that background, as you can see right here, allow us to download it, which it's going to do in the top right corner there. And now we are good to put that straight into xTool Studio. Now we're back on xTool Studio. We are going to click on the import button there, and you should see your downloaded image without a background in your downloads folder. We're going to click on that right there. And here we go, it's in. I'm going to resize it to fit onto our actual workspace. And the other thing I'm going to quickly do is crop it so that that box comes down as close to the dog as possible. I always like doing that because it means when you frame it, it just looks more realistic to where it needs to be. I'm going to make it as big as I can on the placement. I think I'm going to go for 85 millimeters approximately by 47. That'll do. And I'm going to make sure it's centrally positioned because that way the laser that's coming directly down has the biggest opportunity to do a nice consistent job. We're also going to be cutting out a part of this later on, so we want to make sure that there is space around it to actually cut as well. So in terms of adjusting our photo, this is where it's really important now. there is a built-in adjustment tab up here. If you select your image and you come up, you'll see adjust. And then in the past, we've manually adjusted. These days, I like to just use xTool Studio's auto adjust. If we click that, and what I'll draw you back to quickly is our predefined material. If you selected that before you do this, it means it will do all the editing in relation to the type of material you're engraving on. In this case, it's a black material, so it will need to be inverted. So let's click auto adjust. As you can see, it's inverted it. It's adjusted the sharpness, the contrast, and from my experience, this always works really well. There you go. We have our referenced image ready to go. I'm happy with that. The next thing we're going to be doing is applying our material settings. As I showed you earlier, I've done a lot of testing. I believe I've got some optimum settings that will work. But one thing I need to stress is that dependent on the image you put in, you will always need to tweak the settings slightly. So bear that in mind. If you find these videos useful and you enjoy watching my content, then I ask you to subscribe to the channel. It allows me to keep making these videos for you, to keep giving you good content and good settings and help you along your journey. And all you have to do is hit that subscribe button, like the videos and comment below. Thank you very much. Now let's move on. So in this case, let's move over and we are going to be selecting within this drop down here. At the moment, by default, it says blue light reference. I've got my settings predefined called dog engraving settings. I added those myself and I can show you how to do that very quickly. But the settings we're using are dot duration 284, power 48, DPI 305, Jarvis bitmap mode. They are our settings. If you want to add that to the existing material, which you can do, and I recommend in these cases you do that. Let's change your figure so it no longer recommends it. It's now saying user defined. All you need to do is click on save settings, put your name for your settings. I'm just going to type some random gobbledygook there. Click submit, and then it will add it to that material's predefined material settings. But we don't need to do that in this case because I have already done it. So what we'll do now that we've got our material lined up, we've got the material settings in place, we are going to frame it and make sure we're happy with the positioning. In this case, it's fairly simple. The photo is pretty accurate, but we will go and double check just to be sure because it's good practice. To do that, click the arrow down here, click rectangular, because in this case, we only care about the rectangular bounding box. Make sure the light power is up because on a dark material, the light is often hard to see. Click that frame box and we'll go and take a look. As you can see, our item fits in there perfectly, so we have no issues whatsoever. One safety announcement, I will be engraving with the lid up because ultimately I want you guys to be able to visibly see what it's doing. However, in your case, close it down or use laser safety glasses. The other thing is acrylic is a plastic. It can produce certain smells, so make sure you have good extraction either outside or to an air purification unit. Let's move on to the engraving. We've got our brilliant image. Now we are going to cut out around it. So what you want to use for this part is the xTool F2 cutting plate that did come with the machine. We are going to place it in the machine, making sure that the actual heatsink fins are facing towards the fan. That means as the laser comes through and you have any kind of smoke, there is a channel to draw it out all the way into here, which is what we want. So we're going to place that centrally. We are then going to get our design and then centrally place that as well, just like that. And now we're going to cut out around this. So now we've completed our engraving pass. That came out really nice. What I want to do now, because we've engraved this onto a larger sheet of acrylic, what you could do is you could cut it before you do this. What we're going to do in this case is cut it following our engraving, just because it was easier to show you the process. So to do that, first thing we want to do is update our image, which I'm going to do now. It should give us a revised background. We can drag our original design off, and there you can see our engraving, which is brilliant. We can use that to place our lines around the outside. In this case, I am going to click on the Elements tab, and I am going to select this curved box right here. We can turn off the output for our previous engraving. We don't need that anymore. So I'll drag that to the side. And now for this is going to be our cutting line. What we want to do is turn off the aspect lock like that. And now we can drag it approximately. And what I will do in this case is I will centralize it, drag it down roughly where I need it to be or where I want it to be. just like that. And then I'm going to look at the dimensions up here. I want to keep these nice and round just because that's the kind of person I am. So I'm going to do 105 millimeters height. And then I'm going to drag that until we see the line appear in the middle. And then I know it's centrally located. And I'm going to explain to you why it's so important, the position of this box, in a second. And the width of it is going to be 75. There you go. And now we're going to centrally locate it so that the actual image of the dog is in the middle of it. Now, with regards to cutting on the xTool F2, you've got to remember our laser is coming from a central point above our design. So it's not going to come down directly above where we're cutting. It's going to be coming down at an angle. That means wherever it impacts the material, it's going to cut at an angle. So the further out that your line is, the more of a steeper angle you've got, which means your cut's going to have a steeper angled cut. If you have it really tucked in centrally, you'll have it a bit better, but it will never be exactly straight. So just bear that in mind. So that's why I don't want to make this box too big, but at the same time, I want it big enough that it makes a nice centerpiece for our photo. So there you have it. We're going to use the standard cut settings, and I'm going to click on one click set, and I like to use 90. So the settings I like to use are blue light, 90% power, and 3 millimeter a second cutting speed, and only one pass. That gives us a nice cut. It doesn't use too much power, it doesn't melt anything, and it's something where we can be happy with our results. So now that we have that positioned, we need to manually frame that cut box just to make sure we're happy with it. So we'll go and do that right now. Our framing box is well positioned around the image. It doesn't cut anything off, so I am happy to proceed with that. So we framed it, we're happy with it. We're going to click the process button. So it's going to be cutting at a slow speed. So you're going to see it's going to take 2 minutes to do this, but it should do it in one pass. So that's all we'll have to wait. Let's click start. We'll wait for the beep. It will give you a fire detection. So you need to click continue anyway, and then click start again. It always does that when you have something that could potentially catch fire. But in this case, we will be okay. We're using their default settings, and I have tried these before. There we have it. It's done the first cut pass, and let's see if it's worked. Yes, it did. Beautifully cut. That has come out really nice, as you can see. I don't know if you can notice, but there is a slight angled cut on the outside edges, as I said before. So what we're going to do next is we are now going to make a photo stand to hold this. Now for our photo stand, I'm going to be using a design that already exists. Within Creative Fabrica, there is a laser cutting section, and people have already designed photo stands, so we'll be using it. So I'm going to type in acrylic photo stand, as you can see right here, and that will bring up a load of options. And the one I'm going to use in this case is this particular one here, and it comes in different thicknesses, different sizes. We're going to click download. It will download it. I have already downloaded the file, so I'm not going to download it again, but I just wanted to show you where I got it from. So let's move on, and I'll show you how to actually cut it out and how to use it. I will be using the existing material that we've got left on here to position the photo stand. So I'm going to put it in there loosely for now, because obviously it is going to be lopsided. There's a couple of things we can do. You can either prop something underneath it to support it, or you can just close the lid down on it, and the pressure is normally enough to keep it in place. Obviously, make sure you're still focused. Now that we've got our photo stand design downloaded, we are going to click import. And in particular, we are looking for the SVG file that we downloaded. You will see it will come in a very large size because this is realistic. So what we want to do is decide which one we want to use. We will then laser cut that out, put it together, and then that's our stand. And all I do for that is I see which one's going to fit within our workspace. I can adjust my material in a second, but I think ultimately I'm going to be using the 53 by 60 millimeter sized one, which is designed for 3 millimeter thick acrylic, which is what we've got. So what I'm going to do to use that, I'm going to right click on the grouped SVG, click ungroup. I'm going to delete everything that I don't need, which is pretty much all of this stuff here. That will leave me with my two designs. And all I need to do now is one by one position them, position the acrylic to a piece of material that it will fit on, and then I can cut them out and we can use them and see if they work. I have just updated the material position. I'm going to update the picture. You should see this now fits into a section of that material, which is great. I've closed the lid down firmly so it's holding it in place. All we need to do is apply those same cut settings we used earlier. So I'm going to select cut in the one-click cut settings, and I'm going to go for 90% power, 3 speed, and 1 pass. So I'm going to do this for both of them. I won't show you the process for the other leg, but I'm going to do it. I'll speed it up and I'll show you the footage of it taking place, and then we can fit it together, We can join it all together and then we'll look at the finished results. We've got our two finished pieces and they've cut really nicely. I'm very impressed with them. So now it is literally a case of overlapping the two areas like that, pushing it down nice and gently so you don't snap it. And there you go. We've got our nice and finished photo stand. Let's see if it works. Here we have the final results. Absolutely outstanding. The clarity is brilliant. The contrast is great. The photo stand we cut out is a great addition, and this would make such a good gift or product to sell, and I'm sure you'll agree, it is absolutely spectacular. So I think you'll agree, this was absolutely outstanding. The stand, the cutting, the actual photo engraving, brilliant. If you've enjoyed the content, if you've got something from it, please subscribe to the channel, like and comment below, and also you can become a member to get early access to these videos, so check that out as well. If you would like to learn more about the xTool F2, check out the other videos on the channel and also check out our Facebook community. I will include the links in the description, but they are full of helpful people and it's a great community. Finally, if you would like to purchase an xTool machine, then check out the affiliate link and the discount code in our description. It supports the channel and we really, really appreciate it. So thank you very much for watching. Have a great day and I'll see you again soon.